And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fourth round of the 11th season of the Bandit Racing League Cup Series, Season 11 of the Bandit Racing League here on Full Send Racing Network. We are back this week for the LAT Racing Oils 25 at Sonoma Raceway. We're here, we're at a road course for the first time all season. We've had enough of turning left, though we will do so plenty more times this season and to some extent tonight. But we are getting started in a new domain here, folks. One of 3 road course races on the calendar this season. And if you have not joined us for a road course race here in the BRL, get ready for a very different product than what you've become used to seeing over the first 3 rounds of the season. Before we get into tonight's race, we of course want to thank our main sponsors, as well as Perfect Shine Auto Spa being one of them. And of course, tonight's sponsor for our race, LAT Racing Oils. For all oils in a variety of different brands, check out LAT Racing Oils down below. Their link to their website and their various social medias is, as always, in the description. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's race. Here I am now on camera, Marshall Crocker Jr., as always, your host here of the Bandit Racing League. And joining me, as he always does here on our Wednesday night broadcast, is Mr. Chris Ferreira. And we are ready for, again, a very different style of race. If you've never joined us here for a road course or a race at Sonoma, Watkins Glen, Road America, we've run them at a variety of different road courses over the years. But if you're a big Nick Nickerson fan, or you're a fan of some really quality scrappy racing, and typically broadcasts that tend to be a little bit shorter. We don't call cautions here at the road courses, so it's a little bit different. Tonight we're running 25 laps at a track that isn't super long, so if you're looking for a bit of a bite-sized broadcast to cap off your Wednesday, well, this may be the place to look. Don't expect we'll be keeping you guys too late tonight. Nothing like last week, certainly, but welcome, Chris. We are back here. We are ready to get going, and we'll just put some cameras on some guys on the track as we speak and maybe watch them run their laps. The first one we got to go to, obviously, Nick Nickerson, the favorite for tonight, you got to think. But Chris, we are back. 4th race of the season. We have had 2 winners so far this year. Ashley Lyle picking up her 2nd of the season to go 2 out of the first 3 last week. But now we come to the domain of the 2 car, but somewhere that Ashley has had a shot in the past. What are you thinking for tonight? What are the big storylines to watch out for?
We're here on a road course. This is one of the more exciting ones, a faster-paced road course. Lots coming at you real quick. A lot of blind corners, and lots of elevation changes here. So I think that's what makes this track exciting. It's going to kind of throw some of these guys and girls for a loop. You're not going to see trouble in front of you. It's really hard to judge that car and what it's doing as it's cresting a hill and whatnot. So those curveballs will be exciting. Ashley Lyle, as you kind of alluded to, she's been pretty dominant to this point in the season. She is the only other person in Bandit Racing League history to this point that has beat Nick on a road course. So she is my race pick for the night, and that is the exact reason why. She kind of has his number so far this season, and we'll see if she can keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder here, Chris. This is really the first time we've ever had a situation like this where Nick has really been not soundly beaten. He's still doing well in the points, and we'll put your point standings up here for you in just a moment, but he's certainly had a run for his money this year as far as just week after week. Got one up there at Daytona pretty soundly. He was one of those drivers that just all the way throughout the race was having issues, was getting caught up and stuff. But Ashley Lyle has just taken a couple racetracks that it sounds like haven't totally been in her wheelhouse and has just rolled with them. Last week that really competitive Rockingham race that we'll recap here in just a moment. She was absolutely dialed in. It was very clear that from the very beginning she was somebody that was going to take advantage of opportunities, and even though it's a win in your in system this season in the Bandit Racing League in Season 11, you get a win and you run a minimum number of races in the regular season and you make the playoffs automatically. She got that win and still said, I'm going to come back 2 weeks later and do it again. So that hunger's there, but we know it's there for Nick. And even just the way we talked to him last week in the broadcast booth, you can tell he wanted that race at Rockingham really bad and lost it by a photo finish. So it's a little bit different to see Nick come to his kind of his happy place really at these road courses. And Sonoma, not one he's run in the past couple seasons, but definitely a place you got to think he's the favorite. With that, though, again, we're going to once more thank our sponsors, particularly LAT Racing Oils. They are our big sponsor for tonight's race here at Sonoma. Just going to give you a little bit of information about LAT Racing Oils. So LAT Racing Oils are a high-performance motor oil. Lubrication Advanced Technologies is the acronym. And they sell various types of oils, ranging from ATF fluid, nitro oils, supercharger oils, and anything in between. If you want oil for your racing purposes, they are who you want to check out. Again, there are links to all of their stuff as always, in the description down below here on the YouTube side. As well, another fun thing we have to shout out here, and something I am particularly very excited about, is we now have a podcast, the Bandit Racing League podcast, debuting today. I believe debuted right before the race. I was tuning into some of it there a little bit earlier, but absolutely go check out the Bandit Racing League podcast if you want to learn more about not just the Bandit Racing League, get some special guests, obviously hosted by names such as Dawson Guzik. We had Bill Harkins on the podcast. There'll be different faces each and every week, but they'll recap some of the real world of racing and motorsports in general, but also talk about our series, give updates after each and every race, and just a really fun, sort of additional supplementary aspect, you could say, to the awesome Bandit Racing League kind of community we have on not only YouTube, but social media as a whole. So go check it out. The link is, as always, in the description down below. If you want to check out anything for this series, really, even if I don't talk about it on any given night, that is where you want to go. But with that here, Chris, let's get into last week a little bit. Before we get into tonight, we're going to do a ride around with somebody just when qualifying starts. This is a 10-minute qualifier tonight here, so shorter race, longer qualifying to supplement the fact that the lap is a little bit longer, and running here at the road courses takes a little bit longer. So very quickly, we're going to go over last week, and just before we get into the highlights here, Chris, and we watched last week's race recap courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa, what do you think is the big storyline to take away of the race we saw, the competitive racing, lots of cautions? Just what do you think was the big thing that people should remember going forward after Rockingham?
Other than the cautions, because as I think we can all say from last week, cautions do in fact breed cautions.
They do.
But I will say, patience. It's some of these drivers here that are used to being up front. I think that they're losing their patience a little too early in the races, and they're losing focus. And you're starting to see that in some of their performances. While some of them rebounded late in the race there, some of them threw away wins. So I know they're used to running up front and competing for these wins regularly, but we have some new faces here that are here to play, and they need to recognize that.
You are absolutely right. That's a perfect segue into tonight's race recap, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. This will be a recap for last week's race in the 24/7 Sim Services 100 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And again, for the 24/7 Sim Services Race Control and Broadcasting 100 at Rockingham. Well, we got started nice and hot here with two of the defending champions, two of the favorites to win the entire race, maybe the championship, starting on the front row in Guzik and Nickerson. Guzik would run away to a pretty commanding lead, but it was Sean Britt battling back with Nick Nickerson. He would take over second for a majority of that opening stint. Then after a little bit, we had a really good battle between Nickerson and Welch. Again, two of the favorites of the series. Cody Welch was fast, but Nick getting caught up in this early wreck put his night behind the 8-ball. Jump to lap 52 in the side-by-side door-to-door racing we saw from Parek Guzik and Ashley Lyle. One of the highlights of the early portion of the race, and you see there the 45 of Lyle would unfortunately get tangled in the middle of an incident there, take a little bit of damage, but would repair it, and we'd be back to the front with 2 to go. It was Lyle, Nickerson, and the returning Alec Daffin, your top 3 at the line. It was incredible racing from start to finish, but on the last lap through 3 and 4, Nick got a good run. It was an incredibly close finish, but he would come up just short as Ashley Lyle would hold on the top side, get the better run off the corner, and would take home her second race win of the season. And while 2 times in the last 3 seasons in the Bandit Racing League has that happened, where somebody's won 2 of the first 3, but never has it been anybody other than the guy she beat, the 2-car of Nick Nickerson. So what a race. Lyle gets her second of the year, and that was your race recap, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Just had an incredible moment here in the background as Kevin Foster jumps off the racetrack, but he just sent it over top of the curbs there on the exit of, I believe that was turn number 8. And there you see a lovely aerial view here of Sonoma Raceway as we get ready for tonight's qualifying segment of tonight's broadcast here for 10 minutes. Guys are going to go out there, guys and girls, I should say, going to go out there, put down their best time possible and try to start as far up the field. And Chris, I think qualifying even more so than usual, always important in this series, but I think you got to agree that here at the road courses, there's no caution resets. You're going out there, you're trying to make your way through the field. Definitely more advantageous than the average race to start up front here tonight.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, track position is kind of the name of the game here tonight. You're not going to have the traditional yellow like you see on a week-to-week basis in NASCAR. I believe we're running the local caution. So wherever the car is off the track, wherever the incident is, there will be a yellow flag displayed in that area of the track. You'll slow down and navigate your way through and be on your way. But yeah, I think that starting as close as you can to the front, if not the top spot, is the beneficial way throughout the night. There's going to be trouble, especially coming to that first corner there. It's an uphill. Cars are going to be upset, cold tires. So there's going to be trouble early on until they spread out. There's going to be cars bouncing off each other. You're just going to try and want to miss it. And the best way to do that is be up front.
Here we see the 18 car of Tyler Rowland as he rolls through the couple switchback kind of chicane sectors here of the end portion of Sonoma Raceway. This is the old Cup layout. Of course, NASCAR continues to race at Sonoma, but more recently the track has become more popular to its center carousel configuration, using a long sweeping downhill left-hander that has kind of become popular through IndyCar, and they're running here the last couple of years. But no, we're going to run the old-timey NASCAR layout. So as we're going to see Tyler Rowland here, I'm going to look for a driver such as the 45 car of Ashley Lyle, who comes down the hill through this final sort of very wide open kind of hairpin segment here. The famous tire barriers there that have been run into a variety of times throughout the course of the last couple years in NASCAR. I'm always amazed every season when somebody plows into the inside of one of those tire piles and gets their car wrecked. I would have thought it would be, you treat it the same way as a wall, I would have thought, but no, guys manage to run into it every season. So we're going to ride on board with Ashley Lyle, check out the back of the car here, and get a really good angle of each and every corner. First of all, the uphill turns 1 and 2. You take that uphill left-hander, and then a blind right-hander, just kind of swooping down like a roller coaster into turn number 3 and 4. This complex, again, very similar, blind uphill corner, and that curve on the inside there, brutal. You hit that the wrong way with a little bit too much momentum, a little bit too shallow, and you're going to go into that outside grass. Now the downhill right-hander there, you can get a little bit wide, like turn 1 at Watkins Glen off of turn number 6, then a very similar, about 90-degree turn on the right into another kink left. So this is it's a pretty, it looks like a pretty easy segment here. Sonoma, one of those road courses that is deceptively difficult. Again, a lot of over the hill, down the hill sort of corners. The camber of the corners changes each and every time, and it just takes air off the car. You know, downforce is crucial here as much as you can get it in the setup. So we'll see how drivers deal with the iRacing official setup for this Gen 6 Cup car. But again, you thought all the way around there, just swooping left and right and left and right. Handers, actually Lyle locks up there, coming into the hairpin on her first qualifying lap. So you got to think one of the favorites, and we were just talking about the importance of qualifying. Really hope she can get a good run here for the second lap, but that hairpin, you're obviously going to want to slow it up as much as you can, but you can go a little bit wide there because you're trying to prioritize your run back onto this straightaway and down towards the finish line once you get out of turn 1 there. So we're going to watch one more time here with Nick Nickerson, maybe from a different camera angle here on the dynamic camera, again, courtesy of our, as always, camera provider, Track Cams for Gourmets. They're your place for all things iRacing, custom track cameras for broadcast or personal purposes. Just don't forget to get a license if you're going to use their cameras for broadcast use. But right now, Chris, top of the board, 1:15.63 is the lap by Nickerson. Now 3 whole quarters of a second off is Brett Guzik. Very, very impressive lap. To even run within a second of Nick is great work. A mid 1:16 is a stupid fast time, but you know, at a certain point, we're always kind of preparing here, Chris, for you're just trying to come as close as you can, especially in qualifying. He may have lost one race. Nick has never not started on pole here at a road course.
Yeah, I mean, he's really talented at places like this, and but just listening to the way he talks about approaches to certain road courses and how he approaches a certain corner, I just sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't even understand what you're talking about. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Just because he just knows how to do it so well. So, yeah, it's not surprising to see him up P1 right now and how fast he is to be up there. But, yeah, certainly sometimes it does feel like it's the race for second place.
Well, the Clutch Automotive number 8 car of Kevin Foster, you see in the background there, is going to slide off the racetrack, but I think he is I think he's okay. I think it's just a kind of fooling around in the last lap. You're trying to maybe test out some corners there. No worries about running off wide. Here comes Ricky Hart Jr. through the final corner, that final left-hander. Across the start-finish line, will the number 1 car improve? Currently 14th, he does improve. Goes up into the top 10, goes 9th. So not a bad starting spot there inside of row number 5. Certainly isn't too bad. So Benjamin Lacey now towards the end of qualifying is going to jump up to number 2 on the board. The 7 car always been particularly fast as Benjamin Lacey, the Redlands, California native. Really solid lap time for him, especially at the road courses. But been a weird year here, Chris, as we're going to bring up the point standings as we speak, but been a really unusual year for Benjamin Lacey, 3 races into the season. I believe he's currently sitting somewhere in the about 20 and maybe to 25th segment of the points here. As you'll see, the team names will just be the driver's last name, unfortunately, not the official team name. But as you're going to see here on the championship standings, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing, the red is going to refer to drivers who have won a race, green is drivers who have not. So there are your current point standings. The top 18 will scroll down for you. But Benjamin Lacey, not even in the top 18 in points. And you got to think he's one of the championship favorites. He's qualified well, he's run well, but in the end just hasn't been able to execute. And Chris, from your perspective, what do you think that's been down to so far?
I think it's it's been some really tough luck, to be honest with you. The 7 car's been really fast. We've seen him. He was up front in the race last week, and I think he got into some trouble there about halfway through the race. And then he also got collected in another wreck, which effectively just ended his night. So I think he's had a fast car. He's been fast everywhere we've been, but he's just in wrong place, wrong time. And I think that 7 car will turn it around here in due time. I think he's going to find victory lane here before the playoffs do start. And I mean, that's a dangerous situation. Once we get to the playoffs, then it's an even playing field. I know that we're probably going to have some kind of points reset. And once that does happen, I mean, it's anybody's game. Just don't give a guy like Benjamin Lacey, an even playing field going into a set of tracks where the skill is going to be important. And that's something that he definitely has.
Yeah, no doubt. I think if there's one word to describe Benjamin Lacey besides, I think generally composure. I think that's still been the case. I think he it's not his aggression or his poor decision making that's led to these DNFs that he's had 2 of the first 3 races. It's just kind of circumstance, and unfortunately, with a small sample size, that's sometimes just what can happen here. As we see Bill Harkins in the 12 car coming off the final corner, what can he do in qualifying here? He's sitting in 26th. He will stay 26th. He will not improve, so that'll be a 121.3 for Bill Harkins here in qualifying, as that'll leave the 08 car of Abby Visselbassem will be the final car off of turn number 12. Here he comes. The 08 will stay 30th, so it's going to be a 31 car field. It would seem here with James Hartley maybe on the fringes of running lap here. He's currently a question mark, so that'll round us off here for qualifying, as Hunter Henry in the number 9 car will round off our field for tonight, and we may speed up here. We got 2 minutes left in qualifying, but all drivers have run a lap, so we may be good to go. But yeah, I think Benjamin Lacey, just a case of poor circumstance here, and that can happen, especially the first 3 races being tracks like, obviously, Daytona, super chaotic. Las Vegas was a competitive race, and then, 17 cautions last week at Rockingham. That's just the kind of race that, of course, not everybody's going to make it through, talented or otherwise. So it does open up the possibility, though, here, Chris. I mean, Lacey, a guy that's behind the ball on points to start off the year, do you think that changes your perspective in a win and you're in playoff format? Because, yeah, we will have a points reset. So if he can just get a win, Benjamin Lacey's back in the championship fight. The question is, with 10 races left to go in the regular season, where will that be? And just, do you think that'll change the approach he takes with, okay, maybe I'm not worried about these, conservative point, sprees throughout the course of the season. I just need a win, and he can absolutely do it.
I think that his approach has already changed. I mean, coming into the season, he thought he was going to pick up where he left off, being in the championship 4 there last season, battling for the championship in Phoenix. He had a lot of momentum. He was actually probably considered the championship favorite going into it, to be honest with you. He had such a strong end of the season. Coming into this season, we added a couple new drivers. We had a couple drivers come back, and, you've been hit with some bad luck. So here we are, 3 going on 4 races in, and you're sitting on the outside looking in, or that's the way you say it. But anyways, it's the pressure is starting to get to some of these drivers. As we've seen last week, they were getting aggravated with each other. They were making mistakes, and you're going to continue to see that each and every week as drivers are not performing the way they want, and other drivers are winning. These wins are coming at a premium now. So the closer and closer we get, the more aggression you're going to see, and it's going to be out of those uncharacteristic drivers like Nick Nickerson, as we saw in his interview last week. He wasn't too happy about his performance and how the race ended up. I like an angry Nick Nickerson coming into a race like Sonoma. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think just anything you can get to shake these drivers up, I think, is huge. You talk about the idea of putting the pressure on a driver on the racetrack. As we see qualifying end here, we'll get ready for tonight's starting grid, and we'll have a full warm-up lap, so plenty of time to run through all 32 drivers tonight. But yeah, you talk about when you're behind a driver, you're putting the pressure on. Sometimes it's not a physical move. You need to get somebody out of the way in racing, especially with stock cars. It's just being there and applying pressure. And a driver, you get them looking in the rearview mirror on the racetrack, that's one thing. But on a big picture championship setting, it can totally change drivers when they're something that for a top guy like a Benjamin Lacey can seem so certain, that being making the playoffs. And I know these guys don't get complacent, they're not narcissistic and full of themselves, but sometimes it's just you kind of passively understand, okay, I'm one of the best guys here, I put a lot of time into this series, I expect to get something out of it. And if you find yourself towards the back of the order there in the playoffs, just a couple races into the season, yeah, I think absolutely any racing driver should change their approach and just mentally be a little bit more dialed in and say, okay, I got to get some good results done here. And we are ready to We are ready to get going here. We've got the starting grid. There are race picks, I should say, on the bottom of the screen here. So I'm going to go with the 51 car of Curtis Yancey. He's starting 6th in tonight's race. He's always really solid here at these road courses. Pretty consistent. You can almost always pencil him in for a top 5. And Chris has gone with Ashley Lyle. Chris, I think Ashley Lyle, great pick. She did just put down in the broadcast chat here a moment ago. Going to be starting 16th. Obviously, we saw that mistake on lap 1 of qualifying. So that'll really put you behind the 8 ball. How are you feeling about your pick, Chris, before we go through tonight's starting lineup, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa? Starting 16th, but she's still possibly the second fastest in the field. Do you still see at least a second place in the cards for her tonight?
Yeah, she looked really strong in practice. She's looked really strong the 3 weeks prior, so I'm thinking she can make some moves and get it done tonight.
Perfect. With that, we are now ready for your starting lineup here, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Let me just get your starting lineup graphic here for us. Yeah, we're going to take a moment to... some things have moved around here on me, but we appear to be almost ready to go. Okay, we're going to run through our starting lineup here, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Let's get everything taken off the screen for us, and we'll go car by car. Again, all 32 cars starting in tonight's race. We should get a moment here to talk about them. So here we go. Starting on the pole, it is the number 2 car, I should say, of Nick Nickerson with a 1:15.635 second lap for GFR Racing. Then for 785 Racing, it's Benjamin Lacey starting on the outside of the front row. Starting second there on the front row is Benjamin Lacey. Starting first on the second row, I should say, is Brett Duzick. The 04 car rolls off in the LAT Racing Wheel scheme himself. Of course, tonight's race sponsor. We'll see if the race-sponsored car can get it done tonight. Is Chris Ferreira there for GFR Racing. The second of the 2 GFR cars in the top 4 will start on the outside of row number 2. Sean Britt will start on the inside of row number 5. He's had a great start to the year so far. That 98 car has looked fast, and he was top 3 there in practice before the race. And then we got Curtis Yancey, my pick for tonight, starting on the outside of row number 3. Mike Wright will start 7th with Tyler Rowland again making his return to the series in the Valvoline entry, starting in 8th. So you got a race winner and a guy who's only run 2 races in the last 2 years of Bandit, but both running about equal lap times. Ricky Hart Jr., who's had a pretty quiet start to the year in the Sueno de Atzo number 1 car, will hope to make it a first top 5 of the season tonight as Mark Allen Bivens starts behind him in the number 10th position. Then after that, we got Benny Hogan, who will start in 11th with Connor Gibson starting 12th. After that, we have Mr. Cody Welch gone. There is Cody Welch, and starting alongside him. We'll move down the order here a little bit. I've had a car drop out. I'm seeing as I find Nolan Gross on the racetrack. No, he does appear to be there. He's dropped back a couple spots. Nolan Gross there in the 02 car will start in 15th position. And of course, Ashley Lyle starting 16th, as we previously mentioned. Huge surprise. That is not where she looks to be starting for tonight, as Kevin Foster is going to be just in front of her. You got to think anybody right in front of Ashley has their work cut out for them tonight. She is going to be a hard charger. We'll drop through the rest of the field here very quickly, but we are actually ready to go here. Pretty quick warm-up lap for a pretty quick racetrack, and there is the final part of your order. So we are ready to go here, folks. The pace car is taking the left-hander, and Nick is in control of the field. Will he be all night? We will find out, but we are green here for the LAT Racing Wheels 25 at Sonoma, and the 2 car leads us to green, and not an unfamiliar sight. Up the hill through turns 1 and 2. Through turn number 3. Whoa, going wide there is Sean Britt. Really solid run to the corner, but he goes wide. He has gone wide. So is Benjamin Lacey there in the very first run through the uphill left-hander and right-hander that I said were going to be so difficult. He just got a little bit too wide there, cold tires, and Benjamin Lacey finds himself in 18th after only 5 turns here.
Yeah, those cold tires will get you, especially on that corner there. It's really hard to get the car to stop and turn. A lot of wheel hop usually going into that corner when you're coming in hot, especially on a restart, trying to get all the positions you can because it's so tempting. You see all these cars in front of you. So, yeah, that is a tough break for him, but we'll see how well he can rebound.
Remember again, folks, no cautions here at these road courses. So tonight's race at Sonoma is going to be all about avoiding crashes and avoiding incidents. And right now we got Curtis Yancey again going to fall through the order here. The 51 car goes wide off the exit of, that is turn number, I believe, 8 there. Getting back on the racetrack here through this kind of, left and right hand kink section towards the final sector. But he's going to get back on, I believe, 7th place. Don't believe he has a speeding penalty. Looks like he's served it already, so had to slow down a little bit having cut that corner, but now will return to the order in 7th. That'll move Ricky Hart Jr. up to 6th. And Tyler Rowland now, who started at 8th at the beginning of this lap. The number 18 Valvoline car you see coming by your screen now, already up in the top 5, and Mike Wright as well has moved up to 4th.
One guy that's quietly having a really good season And it's not the 13 car of Chris Ferreira. It's the 15 car of Christopher Hamilton. I know you gave him the wrong name there. I'm not that good, but I do appreciate it. But nonetheless, yeah, he's having a really good start to the season. He's really running strong. I know that he does particularly like this kind of discipline when it comes to racing. In my talks with him anyway, he does enjoy this kind of racing here. So it's good to see him up front. Let's see if he can kind of just keep this car up here and see what he can learn from the 04 car. I think that him just kind of tucking in here and just seeing what kind of moves he makes, applying some pressure, I think will pay off for him. So let's hope and see if he can make another good run tonight.
Yeah, I remember back when I started watching Chris, you were actually racing alongside him back when I did my one-off road course appearance last season at Watkins Glen. I remember Chris definitely one of those guys that stood out to me. The other Chris, I should say. Thank you for correcting me there. But yeah, no, the other Chris, definitely one of the fastest here in the Bandit Racing League as far as really any track. He's somebody that always learns really well, comes up to speed with pretty much every discipline, which just suggests how good he is as a general race car driver. But no, you're absolutely right. Road courses have been kind of his bag the last couple seasons, and I remember when I ran with him at Watkins, just so consistent. I remember he was chasing me down, and just every single lap, he was running almost identical lap times that made him one of the guys to watch here. So we're just keeping up with Benjamin Lacey, who continues to try to fight back through the field. The Covenant update here is we're now on lap number 2. We're getting through the better part of the second out of 25 laps here at Sonoma. Again, not a long race. Ashley Lyle there, right on the back bumper of Curtis Yancey. So two drivers who had early incidents here. Curtis down 4 spots from 6th. Ashley up 5 spots from 16th. Now they're going to duke it out here over 10th and effectively 9th position. There's Benny Hogan in the number 5 car, who's been pretty quick so far this season. Takes a lot of curb there into the downhill. The two 90-degree right-handers may be open for a pass here. Yancey has gotten it done. So 51's going forward. So is the 45. And Benny Hogan now trying to stop the backward slide as Cody Welch in the 85 car going to come make this a battle for 11th.
Something that I don't think gets talked about enough is this is a really good opportunity for you to set yourself up for the rest of the season. You know, this is a track where you can have a lot of problems for anybody really in the field. You know, you can spin out in the carousel down here and lose 10 spots in one lap, or you can just end up last. You know, it's really easy to throw away this race, and it's really easy for you to just you can really just putt around and just have a solid day. Make sure you finish on the lead lap and just take home some points. So it's a different kind of perspective that you could possibly take from this. For some of those guys that are just looking to put good runs together, not necessarily going out there to win the race. Some of them know they're not going to do that, but just try to come home with the top 15 and really stack up them points. That's kind of what I did for a long time here in the Bandit Racing League. I think I got a top 10 once at a road course, but that was kind of by accident. But it was Long Beach, and that one's a fun one. So
that is a fun track. It's a really good one. That's one that the stock cars don't traditionally run at, but I remember we had a really fun little race here in the Bandit Racing League when we gave it a shot. Though I will say, brutal for broadcast. That is a very visually demanding track here on your graphics card. But Christopher Hamilton here, again, you were just talking about him. The other Chris, the one who's actually driving tonight, really solid race so far, and he's putting the pressure on Brett Guzik, who initially broke out to about a 3/4 of a second, almost a full second lead there, but now the 15 car has tracked him down, and as the number 2 car there, it's just he's in his element. He's doing what he's doing. He's already 5 seconds clear of second place. This is, I think, is going to be the battle to watch for position. And if Nick makes a mistake on what should be one pit cycle tonight, then this may be the battle for the win, essentially, the same way that Ashley was in the catbird seat and eventually became the winner back then at Road America all those seasons ago. So going to be a fun battle all the way throughout. We're going to jump around the field, and that's what's great about these races is you see Benjamin Lacey still trying to track down Benny Hogan. It does give us a chance to look at those other battles throughout the pack. I know we always worry about showing the front runners too much. As Kevin Foster, again, similar to a couple other drivers, gets loose and goes off there in that final hairpin, just like Ashley Lyle did in qualifying. He now returns to the track. The 8 car finds himself in 20th, down 5 spots from his starting spot of 15th. But yeah, it gives us a chance to check out some battles with guys we don't normally see much of. And right now it's Tyler Rowland duking it out with Ricky Hart Jr. as he goes a little bit wide there, avoids the barrier. This is the battle for 5th position.
Some really good runs out of a number of people here. I see the 76, I believe he is. 76 of Mark Allen Bivens here running in the top 10. Running right behind Ricky Hart Jr. here. Just putting some really good solid laps together, keeping it nice and tidy, and keeping the car on the track. And that's all you have to really do. Just keep the car, all 4 tires on the pavement, and just keep chugging along, and you never know what can happen. But yeah, really good run out of him. That's really impressive in my opinion. He's really developing as a whole as a driver. I think that he's really shown up on the ovals. You know, I think he has He has at least one win. I know that. I think he got a second win at some point. But yeah, he's just really developing really well, and that's really impressive to see.
Yeah, Mark Allen Bivens, a guy I think definitely has found a niche in this series, not just as like, we talk about, high potential guy, younger driver, always learning in the series, former most improved driver back in season 9. I think he's just found a niche as one of the best at the super speedways. He knows what he's doing in those big, long, draft-based tracks. But here at the road courses, he's always been solid. I think a lot of the younger generation drivers are. The guys in this series that have grown up in the simulators, not just iRacing, but a variety of different racing games. I think, as we see Ashley Lyle here now going to peek out and finally going to try the move here on the 51. So Chris's pick and mine battling it out here for, this is the 9th position. Curtis goes wide. Ashley, almost catches the quarter panel there as they kind of cross over there through the corner. Curtis turns early into Lyle. The 45 and 51 get together, and Ashley is around. As I was going to say, it looks like they're getting a little bit scrappy here, and Ashley does just get turned by Curtis early into the corner. Really early turn in point. We're going to go back to the replay here, courtesy of Butt Kicker, see if maybe Ashley turned in late. Here's the rear perspective of that 45 car, getting a really sharp angle by the 51, but almost didn't look like any contact there. Just really early turn in by the 45. The 51, I should say, into the 45, sending Lyle around. If she was not happy last week with Brett, she definitely won't be happy this week with Curtis. Not sure if you saw that incident there, Chris, but a little bit of tension here early on at Sonoma, a discipline with the road courses. You don't usually see a lot of wrecks, or at least not, aggressive battles for position.
Yeah, I think that Lyle is going to be seeing red here a little bit, and to go back to last week's, throwback, she's definitely at minus 66 on the rival scale to the 51
yes.
car. So she's not going to be too happy if she gets to his back bumper again. And, you could say it at pretty much any track. You don't want someone upset with you running behind you or running around you, but particularly at road courses, you're already on edge so much. The last thing you need is a little nudge from somebody from behind, and that can really upset your entire day. Because if you're trying to slow down to make a corner and someone's using you to stop, forget it.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting if they can end up back together. She really didn't lose all that much time. It could really be gained here by the time they get to their stop, which should be around lap 20. Interesting enough, I believe. So we'll see how they break this race up. They might break it up in even segments. But, yeah, if she does get to the back of him, which she looks like she is hustling this car right now, as Benny comes over the radio and says, "I'm trying to give it to you," because she's just working his back bumper over. She drives it a little bit too deep there, yeah. You can tell there's a driver driving with a little sense of purpose here right now. So that'll be interesting to see if she gets back to that 51 car.
Oh, man, really getting, not intentionally, but squeezed by Benny Hogan. There was not a huge gap to put that car in. It's fascinating. I love seeing talented drivers further in the pack than they should be. Not because I like seeing drivers that deserve good finishes to not get them, but man, just it's so much fun to watch people in a position where if you're one of these guys that maybe not huge road course fans, driving with somebody who is one of the, maybe not ringers in the series in Ashley's case, but one of the very best. It's just kind of a fun experience, and I feel like for a lot of guys it can be a learning experience too, because you want to take good notes of what the really fast guys like Lyle are doing. Try to emulate it in your own line here, but we're watching this battle here with Brett. We're going to keep it in the background very quickly. We got to talk about him here, Chris. I feel so bad every race we run with him. I don't feel terrible because he does this for a reason. These are his races. This is his bag. But Nick Nickerson, we got him here on Skype. You see live, the hands always making those subtle movements there. Expert experience here. This is what he does. We talk about it all the time, but just such subtlety, such nuance in the way he steers. Not big movements. There's 1,000 little minute adjustments he makes in each and every corner that let him be so fast but also conserve. It's Nick Nickerson, the Phoenix, Arizona native. He's out to a 10-second lead in 8 laps. Incredible talent. Like, what can you say, Chris?
I mean, it's really so tough. I remember, I believe we were practicing for a 24-hour endurance race, and he was like trying to give me some tips. He goes out in the car and he's like, "All right, just follow behind me as I drive." And I couldn't stay behind him because he's just that quick. And he was explaining stuff to me, so I went back and watched his replay, and I was watching his telemetry on his lap, and I was like, I don't understand how you're doing that, because when I do that, I'm in the wall. It just, he's able to push the car all the way to the edge and still maintain grip where I don't know where there is grip. So kudos to him. I mean, I do nothing but kind of give the guy backhanded compliments because he knows he's so good, so I try not to make his head too big. But yeah, he's a really great guy. Does a lot for the league, and obviously a 2-time champion. Nothing but love for that guy, and I love watching him come here and kind of humble everybody else. So we'll see if he can get it done tonight. I think he will. But another thing that's heating up here is this battle for second is heating up. But this newcomer here, he's really shaking up everything. Mr. Mike Wright, he's starting to come into this picture too, and you know that's really cool to see. He's been fast everywhere, but to see him come to a road course like Sonoma and show that he has speed and contend with these guys. If I'm seeing this performance out of him, and I'm some of these guys that are looking to fight for a championship later in the season, I'm having this guy noted duly in my notebook of people I got to watch out for.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, this start of the season hasn't necessarily been predictable. We've seen some really fun races. To see Ashley Lyle and a rookie be the only two winners through 3 races this year, not incredibly surprising, very well deserved. But I think the biggest surprise has been Mike Wright. You know, he's way up there in the point standings. He's run exactly 3 races in Bandit as opposed to guys like Nick, who's been here 4+ seasons. Same with Brett, some of the more experienced names. Actually, shout out to Connor Gibson as well. Driver of the 31 car, back into the top 10 right now. He's actually currently sitting 3rd in points. Incredible start of the season for him. But just generally speaking, yeah, Mike Wright's been such a surprise. But you come in, you see his I rating. You know, that, for those who don't know I rating, that's basically just it's a number that demonstrates your experience, but specifically your results here, how well you do in iRacing official competition. The more top 10s, the more top 5s, the better results you get, the higher your rating goes up. But yeah, one of the best in the series, and that converts. And for some guys, it doesn't necessarily. For others, it does. And he obviously came in with a lot of pedigree, showed up, and immediately made an impact. So even though he doesn't know the other drivers, he doesn't know kind of the culture of the league. I think talent can sometimes outweigh that, and he clearly has it in droves. So Mike Wright's going to be a guy to watch in this series for a long, long time, and to see him get off to a great start, win in one of his first 3 races, potentially get his 2nd podium tonight here, just on the outside of, again, that battle in the top 2, as Chris was saying, for the 2nd position. Really, really great to see as we see the 45 car of Ashley Lyle. I just said Connor Gibson was in the top 10. That may not be true. In about a matter of 5 to 10 seconds, the 45 car continues to run through the field.
Well, that 45 car has 1 car between her and the 51 car, which she's had a little bad blood with. So see how patient she is with the 31. As you see, maybe a little contact there, getting into one of the first of 2 right-handers here, but. Yeah, she's rebounded really well from that. She's passed a lot of fast cars, and she's you know, she's keeping it on track since that happened. I'm really interested to see if she gets back to the 51 car. If I'm the 51 car, I'm just gonna pull over and be like, okay, you can have it. See you later, and just let that be that. But you know, tough break for both of them. Both really racing really hard. You hate to see it so early in a race, but that's the Bandit Racing League. We have a short race tonight. We're about to be halfway basically through this race here, so man, she gave a shot to the 31 car there, but yeah, she has somewhere to be, so I'm gonna be really interested to hear these. I wish we could have enough time to edit all of the colorful language, colorful language out of it. Yeah, I would love a radioactive, because it is super funny between some of these guys and girls. Sometimes it is absolutely hilarious. So I maybe we'll have to figure out a way to do it at the end of the season, make like a compilation of all of the radioactives, but we'll have to figure it out, because it is absolutely hilarious, especially when they get upset with each other. But more of Nick Nickerson absolutely dominating this thing. I think you're gonna probably see these guys starting to come down pit road here in a couple laps. I think they're gonna split it right in half. That's the way I would think they're gonna do it. I don't know why you'd run it all the way to the end, just split it down the middle, but we'll see. I don't know what kind of strategy they're gonna be doing. Nick Nickerson is Mr. Strategy Man himself. He's always crunching numbers while he's driving. Don't know how he does that so fast at the same time. So.
Ooh, big move here. Oh, Mark-Ellen Bivens for 5th. What a drift. Tokyo drift there by the 76. So glad we caught that on camera. What a save by Mark-Ellen Bivens. A pass, a big send on the inside into the hairpin on Tyler Rowland in the 18. Turned into one of the better saves we've ever seen. Maybe it's the best at a road course. That also almost got him the spot there. Great driving by the 76. Doesn't keep the spot, unfortunately, but what an attempt there. Props to Mark-Ellen Bivens for keeping the hands moving. And no longer in 5th position, Ricky Hart Jr. has taken off pretty comfortably there to go after his, I believe, first top 5 of the season. So the 1 car here looking good. The Sueno de Atzo entry, high curbing it through turn number 6, or that might be 7. But yeah, really good corner there. Ricky's doing a good job. But yeah, Great move there by Markel, and Bivens just wanted to jump and point that out because that was a battle that looked like it was about to heat up, and then it ended. But boy, we got our money's worth there, even if it was very brief. And back to this battle between Brett and Chris, which, man, looks like this is going to be permanent, unless maybe the pit stop cycle changes things. I don't know how much tire wear has made an effect here now. The lap times, not really that much worse. I mean, I should clarify, about 3 seconds off the optimal time here, but you know, on a road course, that's relatively par. So we may see an undercut here. We may see drivers pitting early. I guess what Chris just mentioned, we're over halfway this lap. So guys can come in now, perfectly split the race in two, and a couple drivers have gone for pit stops, including Keegan Clark. But yeah, the undercut where you pit a little bit earlier, you run some laps on fresher tires, you jump the car in front, and then that way by the time they come out, they'll be on fresher tires, but they'll have to make the pass. And passing here at the road courses, especially if you're not quite as comfortable with them, can be much easier said than done, so may potentially be a strategy call. We see here momentarily, Chris, as we see Sean Britt in the 98 car again. Really good speed, going to make the move, and that'll put him up into the top 10. But here we go, the 15 car. Finally getting that move done in a very unforeseen moment. We're going to get the replay here for you if Brett does not get him back. But that was a great move I saw there in the background. Not a particularly common passing corner, but for the best in the series, like a 15 car of Chris Hamilton, some guys just make it work.
Yeah, I'm wondering how this pitch strategy is going to work out here. I wonder if I don't know if you were able to catch the IndyCar race this past weekend, but the battle there with Roman Grosjean and how that all ended up. I was really rooting for him to win that race, and I don't know if you got to see it. I won't spoil it for you, but yeah, two guys trying to outduel each other on pitch strategy, and then they ultimately take each other out coming out of the pits. So I'm wondering to see how this works out, if they're both going to cover each other's pits and pit at the same time, or one's going to offset the other. But really good battle here between these two.
Ricky Hart Jr. going to be the first driver in the top 5 to make a pit stop. Remember, the first and only one in tonight's race here at Sonoma. Very quick event, so they'll only need one. Well, again, making that undercut work, though. He was a fair ways back of the drivers in front. He was comfortably in 5th, but had about a 6 or 7 second deficit back to Mike Wright. So the undercut, if he can run really good lap times, might have a shot here going after that 4th position. But you got to think with the pace Mike Wright and those other guys are running on fresh tires, they'll probably get him back. Joshua McQuiggan looking the wrong way. The 29 car who's almost got a win on this so far this season. He was stupid fast at Las Vegas. He's unfortunately going to go around here in that same kind of hairpin 180-degree right-hander people have been having trouble with all night. Not a corner I've seen historically, at least in my experience here at Sonoma, not one that I've found all too particularly challenging. But again, this setup, a lot changes over time, so might be tougher than I give credit here, as we see Peter Murphy going to be the final driver in the top 20. Peter Murphy Jr. up 4 spots from 24th, and Nolan Gross now down pit road. That 02 car, again, really good-looking paint scheme. He is taking his service, and he will be good for the rest of the night. So I think it's the best call, Chris, because you take your tires, you get them now, you split the race perfectly in half, and you maximize your time on fresh rubber. I don't particularly see the downside here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. The hardest part is just readjusting now to the colder tires for that one lap. I mean, you have a little bit of worn out tires, but you're gonna come in for new tires and think you have all this grip in the world, and you're gonna send it in the first corner, and you're gonna be like, oh wait, I forgot. Fresh tires, they're cold. So you kind of have to let it build up for a lap, a couple corners, and then they'll start to come in. And once you have that grip, then you're going to feel like Superman. But yeah, I think that is the best way of doing this thing. And I think it's going to work out. I mean, there's a lot of guys and girls staying out here. I'm keeping my eye on this 51 and the 45 battle as I switch back and forth. But yeah, you just need to get on and off pit road as fast as possible. It's a tricky entrance to this pit road. I don't know if we can maybe tune up somebody coming into pit road. It's it's very skinny to get into, and then it's like almost an immediately right-hander as soon as you get in. So it is a tricky one to get into, and you can see some people mess that one up. But
yeah, we're probably going to wait for Nick Nickerson whenever we anticipate he's going to come down pit road. We'll ride in with him, go on board for the entire kind of pit stop segment here at Sonoma, because yeah, it is a little bit different than the traditional just hook it left on the inside off turn 4 at a traditional oval sort of entry. So here we go. We're seeing Benjamin Lacey actually coming down pit road now. Okay, this will be pretty good. We won't go first person, but you'll see there that just the outside of the line through that hairpin is going to be the pit entry on the left side. Then you just sit parallel until the final turn here, and then you follow along the racetrack there. So It's a long pit lane. This will be a long pit stop here. So I think actually the one reason Nick hasn't pitted a little bit earlier, and the reason he'll have to wait for Christopher and Brett and Mike's battle behind him is because, you know, logically, if you come out behind those guys in front, even if you're on fresh tires again, that's a three-way battle. Nick doesn't want to get held up if they decide to be later on the pit stop. I mean, if you give up the lead for any reason, you're just, you know, unnecessarily putting stress on yourself and risking a potential incident there. So I don't think it's a bad call from Nick to wait for these guys, especially clearly the pace isn't going anywhere, even on old tires. I mean, Nick knows what he's doing. That was such a crisp entry and exit there through the final hairpin. So yeah, do what you're doing, Nick. I don't see any problem with it. Now we are coming towards, this will be 9 laps to go this time by. So, or sorry, 8 laps to go, I should say, even less. So just don't think you could have drawn this race up any better for Nick Nickerson. Just what a performance here. As usual at Sonoma, and I think, yeah, he's not going to take any risks on strategy. He's going to wait until his teammate there for GFR. And Christopher Hamilton in the 15 comes down pit road.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if he's just going to run it till it's basically empty and just come in for a splash of fuel and just go on his merry way. He's built up such a big lead. As we see the 51 and the 45 cover each other's pit stops here, I just find it kind of funny they're the only ones that are calling out pit stops. As we got a car around in the hairpin.
We do. That's Terry Condis there, the 32 car, currently sitting 27th. By my count, he is currently, how many laps does he run? He's about a lap and a half down here. So, yeah, unfortunately tonight, the 32 car just not having the race he was looking for. But he's actually been doing pretty well here in the point standing so far. Kind of an underrated driver here at this point in the season. So, yeah, it's unfortunate to see. I mean, some guys just, you get in one wreck on lap 1 here, Chris, and that's more or less your event done because you got to think again, no cautions. You got to get back to the pits, limp it in there. You have a quick repair, but we see damage on the front left of Terry's car, so maybe he's already used multiple. It's such an unforgiving race when you make that mistake, but here he comes, Nick Nickerson down pit road. You saw the exit back there, so we won't show it to you, but the 2 car going to, I believe, pull into the final box on the left side here. Obviously, one of the benefits of qualifying on poles. You get one of the earlier pit boxes, and here he comes down pit road. We'll get his service, and then that'll effectively be the race finished up there. Again, implying that he doesn't have a pit road speeding penalty, which is, of course, what's happened all those seasons back at Road America, the infamous foot cramp race, where Nick Nickerson, by his own words, got a foot cramp, and he's taken 4 tires here, so good to see. That means I guess he's maybe a little bit worried about the tires and the loss of grip here, even if he's only running 7 more laps. But yeah, that foot cramp race where he got a speeding penalty because he said his foot cramped up, and there were some issues, and that's when Ashley Lyle took advantage and won that race. Who just went flying through turn number 2. In the background there, I watched somebody lock up, and that was Hayden Paul, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, who was currently sitting in that is 25th, 26th position. This race of the 54 car not going the way he was looking for, and yeah, that car's missing an entire hood. You normally shouldn't be able to see the engine quite that clearly, so the 54 car, unfortunately, is going to start drifting back. Just a tough race for the 54, and hopefully he'll be back in the rest of the, well, not just the regular season as a whole, but in the rest of the month's races.
Yeah, that is not something you want to see exiting pit road as a leader.
No.
That is a scary
No,
sight to see, but yeah, the race is kind of gone as you'd expect it to be, as we see a really, wow, playing bumper cars here with the 15, 04, and 85. Yeah, it's kind of gone as you expected it to be. I really like this battle between the 15 and the 04. A lot of patience between the both of them, just kind of waiting each other out. It's a chess game going at 100 miles an hour. It's very interesting to see how they're kind of playing to each other's strengths and weaknesses and trying to take advantage of those as they're going throughout the laps. But you can really see that I feel as though Brett is better through the first half of the lap, and it looks like Christopher is better on the second half of the lap. They kind of equalize in the hairpin, which is, I mean, it's a relatively easy place to equalize because it's a matter of who's going to outbrake who. But yeah, really interesting to see different driving styles and how they approach the track.
Yeah, I got to be honest here. Just sorry, watching the background of this battle, I don't know when Cody Welch lost all this time here. I knew he wasn't in this battle actively for the lead, but didn't really process that he was a lap down. So Cody Welch, man, it's obviously been not necessarily a really tough last couple seasons. Obviously, he's had his fair share of podiums, top 5s, but these road courses, he's always been pretty solid in the past, and to come home with less than 20th means that due to some of those earlier incidents, it's gonna be disappointing for him, you got to think. And this is a really busy part of the racetrack because he's going to send it up the inside of the 04 car. Looks like the 85 has pitted, so definitely not as far back as it would indicate there for him. But Man, that was a big move there on the 04. Now he's going to pass the race leader here, Christopher Hamilton. For those of you maybe just tuning in, remember Nick Nickerson has made a pit stop. These drivers have not, so effectively the race lead still held by the 2 car. But I mean, Chris, we got to market this. I mean, we have a battle for the lead that doesn't have the 2 car in it at a road course. Like, this is a victory in my books, and in my mind, we're just going to tune this broadcast out before the final pit stop for these guys and just pretend this is how it ended. But this is still a crazy battle. The 85 kind of pushing the 15 car a little bit too far to the inside. The 04 car might capitalize. Here comes Brett Guzik, not giving the 15 car any room. And again, if anything happens to the 2 car, what a fun battle this would have been for the race win.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have just kind of been going back and forth as he goes to the inside here. He's going to have enough power to be able to put the power down. Doesn't look like it. It's really hard to go side by side through here. It's just too tight, and it gets so sketchy. The car is so on edge, and you want to be in that. It's basically a 1 lane through there. But even Mike Wright, he's still hanging on tough to the back of this this battle to the lead here. But yeah, I mean, just imagine if somehow these guys could have saved fuel while racing like this. And Nick has to come back from, at one point it was 14 seconds back. Now he's 10 seconds. Diving it in there, but I think Christopher's gonna have the better run coming out as he gets sideways.
I thought you were gonna be right. Yeah, I thought that wider line was gonna give him a crazy run here back up towards turn 1 and 2, but no, gets a little bit loose there. Saves the car the way Mark Allen Bivens did, maybe to a lesser extent, but yeah, that was almost very bad. But again, he saves it, and even if he's now lost Brett's just because of that one incident, he's broken away to a 1.3 second lead. You can tell the 15 car really running out of grip. But what an impressive run this has been. And if that was the moment that saves his podium here tonight, that was maybe our full send move of the race. It certainly is going to be in contention. But we're watching here. I'm watching. I'm waiting. There's the 51 car. There's the 45 car. This battle, the one we want to see, the one with all these emotional stakes to it after the earlier incident tonight, it's going to be coming up here momentarily, Chris. So get your popcorn ready here now with only... We're going to be coming to 3 laps to go here in a couple moments. I'm certainly hoping we get to see this battle before tonight's race is over.
I do also want to say, as we're waiting for this drama to unfold, that we've watched Nick in a single lap take 6 seconds out of the deficit of the lead. I know he's on tires and these guys are struggling on older rubber and they're battling each other, but that is a lot of time on track. That is insane.
That is like a sizable portion of the whole lap. Like there, as he gets the move done on Mike Wright. So his lap times are about a 1:15, right? That's 75 seconds. Divide 75 by 6, you're looking at about somewhere in the ballpark of about 12.5. So he's gone 12.5 is 8%. He's gone 8% of the racetrack further in the same amount of time as the race leaders have. That's crazy. 8% of the entire racetrack at a road course. He's that much faster per lap. That is insane to think about. And again, obviously new tires, you got to consider that. But, you know, even talking about that, oh, what if these guys save fuel? It's not going to matter, and that's the point. So that's why, I mean, obviously Brett, we got to give him all the respect in the world. The fact that the 04 car has run this well relative to the 31 other drivers that are not Nick Nickerson, but just what a race, you know, from the 2 car. And again, we never want it to be overshadowed, but just such an incredible talent and such a pleasure to watch him here in this series. We are still waiting here, folks. This is Curtis Yancey right on the back bumper of Mark Allen Bivens. This is a battle that I don't want to get kind of lost in the background here as Nick comfortably making the move on his GFR teammate Christopher Hamilton. And since I said that a couple moments ago, Chris, he's already broken away by 0.8 of a second. I think that tells you everything you need to know. Yeah,
I really think at this point, as we're coming to lap 24 here, I think that Brett is going to try and stretch it all the way. But like you said, it's not going to matter because he can't push the car as fast as he needs to because he's probably trying to save fuel at the same time. And the 2 car is on fresh tires, and he looks like has another 200 horsepower than all the other cars on the track right now because he has so much grip. So valiant effort by the 04 car. And if he tries to make it all the way in, I think that is super cool that he was able to save that much fuel and still maintain as much speed as he had. But yeah, it's a lost cause. I think this 2 car is going to be is going to drive by him like he's standing still here pretty soon.
And I mean, say what you will, but if it works, even if he can just get close, can Brett, if he can finish within 10 seconds of Nick, then it was a net win. So I think, you know, even if it, again, doesn't result in the race win, we'll see here if he's got anything to defend the 2 cars as he gets closer. Although we're coming to the last lap here, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing, so some part of me is excited, Chris, but I'm trying to temper my expectations. Here we come. But okay, now that I recontextualize it, if he can use this lap traffic, if he can get by the 86 car of Paul Wilson here, he may have a shot at this. So we're getting ready for the white flag here, courtesy of Apex Sim Racing. But actually, one of the more exciting finishes we've had on a road course here, and this is going to be fun. Let's see if Nick's got anything left to get this very battered and very out of fuel number 04 car. Apex Sim Racing white flag. Here we go.
Does Nick have anything left? Does Brett have anything left in the fuel tank is the real question, as he's taking a shot to the inside. He's going to make him work for it. He has nothing to lose.
Just don't run out of fuel, Brett. That's all you got to do. Just don't run out. You're up the hill, the left-hander, turn number 3. Oh my goodness, in the grass goes Nick. Nick hits Brett. The 2 into the 04 car. Where is Mike Wright? That is the question. Nick gets away scot-free. Brett is going to be fuming. Where is Mike Wright on the racetrack? He's just passed, has Mike Wright in the 3rd. Further up, there's Brett. Mike's going to go to 2nd. So drama here on the last lap. Brett just absolutely sending it there at the end on strategy, doing whatever he could to block off the corner off the 2. The 2 had better traction, was able to hold it there on the outside, and just said, no, I'm sticking my nose here into the switchback as we take the right-hander up the hill. And if your car is there, I apologize. Massive respect, all the respect in the world there to Brett Guzik, but that's gonna have a little bit of repercussions dramatically. You gotta think. We are coming here to the final corner. This finish has come up fast. Not only am I noticing Chris Hamilton has dropped off to 6th, it's going to have a really fun battle here at the end with Tyler Rowland, but we may not see that Lyle Yancey battle after all. But off of turn number 12, he's done it, folks. It was close. It had more drama than usual, but he'll slow it right down, bring it to the line. Nick Nickerson wins it at Sonoma Raceway. The driver who has won a race in every single one of the past 4 seasons of the Bandit Racing League. Make that 5. Congratulations to the 2 car. And I can't wait to interview Brett Guzik. I got to say here, Chris, but I don't think we can complain with that. That was about as good of a finish as we're ever going to get at a road course here.
I couldn't agree with you more. That was the best finish we could ask for, given that he was running away with it by 15 seconds in hand. But, obviously I don't want to see, our drivers beating and banging to that extent and taking each other out. But, I mean, Brett did everything he could to try and keep him behind him, and Nick said, hey, I have a race to win. I've dominated this whole thing. So, yeah, wow. Great finish. Kudos to Brett for having enough fuel to finish the race without stopping. I think that's incredible. I mean, he stretched the entire tank, I think, by 3 laps while maintaining a top 3 the entire time. So that's incredible.
Just want to give a quick shout out here to Benjamin Lacey, who backed into Nick, and then Nick immediately left the server there. So never really got a clear, good shot of your race winner, but thank you to Benjamin. That was a fun little moment there. And with that, just looking down the rest of the field, as a bunch of guys still have yet to finish. But we're going to go straight into your interview here in just a moment. But update, Ashley Lyle, they're still going at it. This race is over. Lyle and Yancey have finished. Lyle does come home in 12th, Yancey in 10th. I don't know what necessarily happens that Lyle ended up losing a bunch of time. I'm trying to find here. So Lyle is going to come home in 12th, finishes behind Mark Allen Bivens. But there was a moment there earlier where Lyle just suddenly dropped back. Okay, she crashed at some point. So here's the replay, butt kicker racing replay. So this was down into, obviously, our favorite hairpin, turns 11 and 12. Deep send on the brake. Mark Allen Bivens got in the way there as he got a little bit loose there. In that corner, he had such a good save at earlier, just slid in front of her. So that was off the final corner of the final lap. And the final corner going on to the final lap, I should say. The 45 car had damage all the way home there from that point, but still managed to come home in 12th. So what would have been such a fun little battle there, Chris, unfortunately ruined by just unfortunate little incident there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just pushing, That was something I wanted to see, and I think that will come up in weeks to come here. But, yeah, I mean, exciting road course race. Sonoma puts on a good show, and I've been saying this to the admin group for a while that we should go back to Sonoma. I really like Sonoma. It's a fast-paced track. Yeah, there's not many passing sections, but it does create that opportunity for you to have some beating and banging going on. But yeah, Sonoma put on a great show tonight.
Did indeed. Now we're just gonna get ready here for your race interview, courtesy of Well, us. We actually don't have a sponsor for the final interview, but we'll talk more about, again, your race sponsor, LAT Racing Wheels, here in a moment once we're finished here. But what a fun race. We just flew through this one. And again, we were promising 25 laps. They're going to be pretty quick. And your race winner, not necessarily the way we were expecting, but is the guy we were probably expecting to talk to here at Sonoma. So just have to make one quick edit here just to get our bearings in order here. But we will have your final results here on the ticker up top above the final interview box here. So be sure to check out where your favorite driver has finished here tonight. But there we go. We are ready for your first interview tonight with race winner Nick Nickerson. Again, ended in exciting fashion. And I know not everybody at home, especially not the Brett Guzik fans, not everybody going to be happy with this one. So perhaps a little bit of controversy here in a final interview. That's what we like to see. Going into the broadcast booth, we'll pull down Mr. Nick Nickerson. Get ready for your first interview of the night. Your race winner at Sonoma in the 4th race of the season. Got our 3rd different winner. Here is Nick Nickerson. Let's get it started. Hey, Nick, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
How's it going, man?
Nick, there are 3 constants in life. There are death, taxes, and the 2-car winning at a road course. But tonight, there was some personality to it. I got to say, that finish, first of all, I want to give props to Brett because that was an incredible strategy attempt. And he came darn close there. Last lap, you're not in the lead. You know he doesn't have much fuel and his tires are old, but are you ready to put the bumper to him? And how did you see that final lap and the way it did turn out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching the replay here. I kind of knew what happened at the moment, but he's being defensive in that corner, maybe, and there's an issue like if you're on monitors, I can't see like up the hill. So I didn't really know exactly like where the corner entry is or anything, but it looks like we made like a little bit of touch and it sent me off in the grass, and I couldn't slow down and not run into him. So he's probably pretty pissed off about that. I would be myself. I don't know if I raced anybody too wide into that corner. I didn't know if it was possible, but I had to try at that point, and didn't work out. And I don't know. Kind of feel I do feel bad for Brett because he ran one hell of a strategy. I didn't think it was possible to make it 25 laps. I wasn't even going to try. I was just going to run as hard as I can and see if I can make up enough time on everybody. But yeah, it's quite the strategy these guys pulled off, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a time to talk to Brett, cool this one over, because I'm sure he's pretty steamed about that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of little moments to kick off this season so far. I mean, Ashley and Curtis, I don't know if it was pretty vocal there in the race chat. I know everybody's got different servers, but they were kind of going at it this week. We had Brett and Ashley getting into it last week. So in a season where now we're 4 races in, you, I guess, finally get that first win. Geez, Nick, 4 weeks. What are you making a sweat up here? But no, your first win of the season. But it's been an interesting start to season 11. A lot of drama. Everybody seems a little bit on edge. And a lot of guys like the Benjamin Lacey's, the Brett Guziks, who are fixtures of this series, barely even top 10 in points. In the case of Benjamin, he was 32nd coming into tonight. Just from your perspective, what's that down to? What's been different for these veterans? And has it been tough to even get this far, to get a win or a top 3 for these guys at this far in the season?
It's just these cars, man. Like, there are more precedences on like draft and just being in the right place at the right time than it is like actual driving skill. Some of us might have enough skill to kind of like give us a little more better probability of being in the front towards the ends, but it's just it's one of those things, man. Some tracks it's just ridiculously hard to pass. You have to throw 3 wide moves because we're gonna be running 2 wide the whole damn time and stuff. But now we're gonna go to like a 1.5 miles, I think, next week. So we'll see. We ran Vegas, but we'll see if this like more cookie cutter 1.5 miles is any different than Vegas, because Vegas was pretty much like a super speedway. I mean, it was the same principles as far as like how you're drafting, putting yourself in positions. So it's going to be a tough season with these things, especially on the tracks with low horsepower. But you just gotta. I can't say I can predict what's going to happen in the following races. It's just roll the dice, man. See where hopefully you're towards the front in the end of the race, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean it's again it's been such an unpredictable season. I think a lot of it is the car, but it's been an interesting schedule as well. We've had so many different disciplines here to start off the year. And next week we go back to Kansas, and I know that the way you see it, Nick. I mean, these road courses, you've aside from one for 4 seasons in a row now, you remain perfect here, even if it came down to the wire on that last lap. But does any part of you think that you're going to need to get back in the oval winning kind of streak? Maybe not 10 wins this year because gosh forbid you don't have enough time to do that like we thought last season. But if you were to try to go for 10, is it different to prove it to yourself in an oval? Maybe Kansas next week, get your first win there. Just does it give you a little bit more confidence for the season as a whole, winning at a more competitive oval as opposed to your beloved road courses?
I mean, kind of not really with these, again, like with these cars, just the way you have to, like what you have to do to win these kind of races in this car is just I don't want to say that it's not skillful. I mean, there's definitely a lot of skill in just trying to get where you need to be at the right time, but there's just it levels the playing field between a lot of us. So yeah, wins are gonna be incredibly difficult for some, and maybe a little bit easier for others. I don't know. I mean, Ashley's already got 2 of them. But I felt like I should have won last week if we didn't have so many yellows. I'm still kind of bummed about that, but all fun and games. Yeah, man. I mean, we'll just have to see.
Yep, we will indeed, and that's why we love coming back to this series. We've loved. I don't never mean to disparage you, Nick. I know you get a lot of heat as kind of the villain that doesn't talk like a villain. Except what was that one quote you said the one night, or there's something you said that I swear I could have put on a T-shirt. It was just the most accidentally, bombastic thing you've ever said. But no, you're always the guy that people don't want to see that 2-car up there every week, and to go 3 weeks was quite a wait for us. But you're always very humble the way you do it, but we knew you were hungry after last week, and to see you come away with it this week it's a good story, especially with how close you were at Rockingham, and I know that one must have hurt. So hopefully this is not going to cool you off too much here. I hope you don't get complacent with one win in this win and you're in format, but it is always good to see the 2-car up here, and we love talking to you. So I'll throw it to you, Chris, if you got any questions for Nick before we head off to the next driver.
I don't really have much to say to the guy. I knew this was coming into it. I should have just had him put a picture of his own car into the graphic that he made for me. But no, man, great job. We were giving you comments on how you were chipping away at that lead towards the end, and maybe you could just give a comment on getting out of the pits and realizing that Brett probably wasn't going to pit. What's going through your head at that point in time, and how were you able to knock off, I think it was 7 seconds in one lap?
It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get when you have fresh tires, right? But I for sure thought they were going to at least pay for fuel. So, like my whole strategy was just to burn as many fast laps as I can in the beginning and see if I can get enough of a lead to where I can take tires if nobody else decided to, because, it's such a short race. There was a lot of different strategies that could be played. I had no idea that anybody would be able to make it all the way to the ends. I mean, I guess, if you're really kind of clutching it or just really short shifting, I guess obviously it's possible, but I hate fuel saving. So even regardless, I probably would have kept going the same way. But I still can't believe they made it 25 laps. Plus, actually almost 26 laps if you want to count the pace lap in the beginning. I mean, that's quite the feat with only 11.2 gallons. Maybe that's why I had such a large lead in the beginning too. So we'll But if maybe I was just a little more patient, I probably would have been able to pass Brett a little more cleanly on one of the other corners. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I feel bad, but I'll just see if I can smooth it over with him.
Yeah, well, as always, you got the broadcast here. You can go check it out on YouTube immediately post-race. He did finish third, so we'll see if we get any hateful comments and any unfavorable language from him in our interview, and then that way you'll know how to approach the post-race talk. But no, I know it wasn't in never malintentioned, and we know you're hungry for that win, but you're not the type of guy to just pound into a guy's inside to get it done. So with that, Nick, you know what the deal. You know what to do. If you got any sponsors you want to shout out on behalf of GFR or yourself, you got anybody you want to shout out at home for the first win of the year, or just anything you want to talk about, now's your time to do so.
Yeah, man. I guess first off, everybody that's watching, and you guys for doing the broadcast. I always love watching these broadcasts, especially when I sit at my desk the next day. And everybody that participates in this league, and all the admins and Bill, everything that everybody does to make this league is what it is, and our in-house legal correspondent, Curtis Yancey. I don't know how many people understand that joke, but Yeah, and the sponsors, man, Big Red, Suena Diazzo, Perfect Shine Auto Spa, Apex Sim Racing, VIP Auto Glass, XL Parts, Advanced Auto Parts. Got a ton of partners this season due to Kevin's ability to yeah, get as many sponsors as he possibly can. It's insane. I mean, we're running out of space on these cars. So painting them could be sometimes a pain, but yeah, a lot of good partners for this season, and hope we put on a pretty decent show moving forward here. Like again, these cars are very difficult to drive, but eventually we'll figure it out. At least the core of us will figure it out, and we'll be able to put on some pretty sweet races.
That's what we like to hear. Just no
Yeah.
more 17 cautions. We'll stick with
Yeah.
15. The people at home can make it work. 17's a little excessive. So
It is.
yes, if we can just get away from that, then I think we're good. But tonight I think was a obviously different discipline, but I think it's a good start on the road to recovery. And next week at Kansas, we're hoping for a good race, and we know you and the other drivers will provide it for us. And if you want to give us another photo finish, it would be much appreciated. So
I'll try.
Thank you as always, Nick. We love watching it. You're fun out there. And yeah, tonight, again, 7 seconds in a lap, you may downplay it, but by my math, you did 8% more of an entire road course lap in the same amount of time as the guy in second did. That is truly insane. So
Yeah.
so go celebrate about that, and we'll see you next week at Kansas. Go give them back for us.
All right, man. Take care.
See ya. With that, that'll be your first interview of the night down here with your race winner here at Sonoma Raceway, Mr. Nick Nickerson. What a drive, what an event, and yeah, it doesn't get much cleaner than that, except for that last lap. And so the first 24 couldn't have gone better, but nobody foresaw that race and that strategy call there by Brett. So we'll talk to him in just a moment. First of all, we're going to talk to Mike Wright, who pretty quiet race overall, though did have a fairly fun finish there towards the end. Was obviously involved in that late battle with Christopher and Brett. So here we go. Mike Wright, second interview of the night, the Greensboro, North Carolina native, his third podium in only 4 races. Let's bring him in. Just got to find where he's hiding down here. Hey, Mike, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do, gentlemen. How's it going?
It's going really well. Congratulations, Mike. You are back. What a start to the year it's been. I swear we talked to you more than we have Nick Nickerson, which is the first time I think that's ever happened through 4 races up here in the broadcast booth podiums. Just incredible run of consistency from you. And all the chaos seemed to be around you in the top 5 there towards the end of the race. Just talk about your perspective, how you saw like those incidents with Brett and Nick and what it was like there in that last lap. You come up the hill and the 04 car right in front of you is turned the wrong way. What was that feeling like as you get second to go for the final lap?
It was a change the pants moment, which was quite different than most of the race. I think everybody and their mom and their dog and their kid and their aunt could know that the practice times Nick was putting up was just way above most of us. So I knew the fuel strategy was an option, and so I thought if I just kept it clean and steady, could end up with a good finish. And for most of the race, I ran by myself. And then we crested the hill there, and there was a car sitting there, and looked at the replay. It was pretty close, made it by, and so I'm happy to come through that and finish second. We finished 2 races so far without damage, and won 1 and finished second in the other, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad day at the office whatsoever. And the points, man, the points you've been racking up through a couple races. You were already way up the order, obviously. Race winner at Vegas. He comes so close tonight. Had that battle with Nick gone a little differently. He did get squirrely. He got loose. So if the 2 car had just gone around, you were looking at your second race win of the year. And you've done it at 4 very different disciplines. So I got to ask you, through a couple races, we've seen chaos races. We've seen 17 cautions. We've seen no cautions. We saw obviously races at super speedways, races at shorter tracks, and you seem to be fast anywhere. But as far as, again, chaos versus non or large versus small track, what's the kind of race you feel like is going to create more wins for that 14 car in the future? Just what are those environments as far as races go that you feel like you're good at driving in and that you feel like suit your skill set?
I feel like the higher horsepower would be best for me, especially if we got green flag runs and you actually have to manage the tires. Mm-hmm. I thought that would have been an option last week at Rockingham, as we found out that long run never came. We didn't even get a short run. And it was just kind of pick your line on the restart and see if you can make the 2 laps before a caution comes out without getting killed. And I did that for about 80% of the race and then got killed twice. So I don't really know to compare it to other people yet, because we hadn't really had a fair shake with some good green flags at that package, but I feel like just in general, the Xfinity car, for example, is one of my favorites on the server, and that's kind of in that direction of type of package. So um, I I don't mind the mile and a half package for this. It's more like the trucks. I think it makes a different type of race with a different type of skill set, but just for pure fun, I do like the higher horsepower stuff.
Nice. Well, we'll keep an eye out on there for you. I'm always just curious to see with newer drivers, especially ones that have shown such great consistent results as you have so far this season. Just what are those races you're really looking forward to? You know, if you're this fast everywhere, do you feel like you're kind of a shoe in for? So always interesting to ask. So we'll look out for you with more of those high power racetracks. And again, really a shame that we haven't seen you back in season. That was last season. We were in the Xfinity car as well as season number 8. Would have been nice to see you kind of in your element there before this season. But it's been awesome to see you as a rookie just break out, and that 14 car is one that going forward just up there with the 7, the 04, the 2, and the 45 cars that I just expect to see in the top 10 now, and that's not something that usually happens through 4 races. I'll leave it to you, Chris, my co-commentator here, if you got any questions.
I don't really have many questions. I just have kind of praise for this 14 car. You know, Mike, you've been really fast in this Mustang here all season up to this point, and you know, I think you're quickly becoming one of those championship favorites. I guess this could be kind of a question: is how are you going to kind of maintain this momentum as we're quickly approaching the playoffs? You know, we're four races in. I think we have 9 races to go till the playoffs start. So, what are you going to do to kind of keep backing up what you've been doing and stay consistent? And I think that you're starting to become a little bit of a fan favorite here. So, how are we going to keep giving the fans what they want?
Yeah, I think most of us, obviously, this car's been dormant for a couple years in the official races, so there's always an adjustment back to how it races and what you need to do, and I think that's going to be a learning curve for much of the season, and we'll kind of settle in a little bit. And I think really it just almost like any race, just coming out clean. If you can have a clean race and have good speed, you're probably going to finish pretty well. So it's just minimizing those instances, say like at Rockingham, where there's just a lot of chaos going on and just trying to finish it in one piece. So that will probably happen along the way, particularly towards the end of the season when the championship stuff comes up. But overall, I've been happy to be here. It's been fun, and I look forward to more this season and anything else that comes up afterwards.
Amazing. Well, Mike, this is not your first time here. This isn't your first rodeo with the post-race interview. But as usual, if you have any shout-outs you want to give post-race, you have any sponsors you want to mention, now is your time to do so.
Yeah, so I run Fresh Market on the car. It's a grocery store mainly in the southeast. It's got really good produce, really good meats. So if you're in that area, go check it out. It's worth the trip. And then just in general, my boys at EE Sports, usually work with them in some other leagues. I kind of branched out on my own to this one and kind of was the trial fish here. So just kind of carrying that by myself and having some fun. So I appreciate them.
Amazing. Well, I'm always looking for good produce. Us students can all certainly do our best to eat better. So if only I lived in the American South. But no, I really appreciate it. Awesome to hear that you're enjoying the league, and hopefully you and your other teammates can make the jump over in future seasons. We're always happy to have more talent like yourself. And I genuinely, when I say this, I'm being serious. In my 4 years in the league, I don't think we've ever seen such a huge rookie explosion of one guy in the first 4 races of a season that's just made his presence known, and you've done so, Mike. So congrats. You're a well-spoken guy, and it's awesome to have a new face, a new presence up here, and a new voice we get to hear every couple weeks in the broadcast booth going forward. So congrats again tonight, 2nd place, and you did it in a fun way there at the end. Congrats, Mike.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and I wanted to pass along. I got some people that watch the broadcast, and they're definitely favorable for what you guys are doing when they're watching the race. So keep it up.
Amazing. Well, shout out to the Mike Wright fans watching at home, and yeah, so awesome to have you here. We hope they enjoyed watching you, and I hope you put on a good performance for them again next week. Back to the ovals, heading to Kansas. Best of luck to you there, Mike.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.
You too. There you go. That'll wrap it up with Mike Wright, not the race winner at Sonoma. I just realized that graphic has said race winner this entire time. That is my apologies. Mike Wright, not your race winner at Sonoma, though an incredible performance, does come home in 2nd and gets his, I believe that is podium number 3 on the season. Just what a year it's been for again that 14 car. Crazy to see a rookie this fast. I don't think since Aaron Smith in season number 9 have we seen somebody just show up and each and every week make their presence known. And again, it's one thing to be fast for a week and have a one-off. It's another thing to be a consistent fixture up here in the top 5, and especially to make a broadcast with appearance in 3 of your first 4 races. That is next level stuff. That makes me think he'll be around here for a long, long time. One more interview to go here with Brett Guzik, your 3rd place finisher. This is one you won't want to miss. And then we will be heading off and talk about your sponsors, get you guys settled off, and then we'll send you off before next week. We come back at Kansas. Wasn't a long race tonight, won't be a long broadcast, but we hope you guys enjoyed. And again, that last lap was, I think, worth the price of admission alone for me. So here we go, Brett Guzik in the green room. Let's get him in for the broadcast. Hey, Brett, it is Marshall and Chris up here in the broadcast booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, we got you guys.
Hey, Brett. Well, I mean, just next level effort there, my man. Like the strategy call, I think Chris and I will both agree that may be one of the best we've ever had in the Bandit Racing League. Nick was shocked post race that you were able to make it that far. Just what an attempt! What a next level kind of intuitive solution to trying to beat Nick is just do it with one last pit stop. It sucks to ask, but we got to ask that last lap, your perspective, what happened there, and you found yourself looking the wrong way at the worst lap possible. Just what do you think went down from your perspective?
Yeah, just to kind of go through the race, I guess.
Yep.
I realistically knew that if I tried to match the same pace as Nick, that I don't think I would have had, as much of a chance to get him. It didn't seem like I was very good at running those kind of banger laps, lap after lap, and getting my tires to stay on the car. So I kind of just, came up with the strategy to figure out how much fuel did I need to run, or to use basically to run all the laps, and that was like 0.44 or something like that. So I had this like little calculator that I'm looking at, and it's sitting there like right on the number the whole race, and I'm just trying to like run that pace the whole race. And I kind of, figured that, late in the race, if these guys pit, they're not gonna have, great tires to try and catch back up to me, and the difference in pace between me and Nick is gonna close drastically, especially later in the run. In the beginning of the run, he's maybe a second and a half faster, but late in the run, he's maybe only half a second faster. So I realized if I just run somewhere around a second slower than him most of the race, and I can make it all the way, then I might have a chance. And that's pretty much the way it worked out. There's a few instances where I wish that maybe a couple cars didn't run in front of me, and maybe I could have had a couple seconds better pace throughout the run, throughout the race. But realistically, you're always going to have somebody, who's kind of riding in front of you for a little bit, especially if you're not pitting, that kind of thing. And unfortunately, on the last lap, everything that I did not want happened. Realistically, Nick could have got by me on the backside of the track if he would have just, dive bombed me or, outbroke me or whatever to any of those corners. But unfortunately, he drove through the grass and got up next to me, and then we got pinched into the curb a little bit there, and I hopped and hit his door a little bit, and then I guess he retaliated or something like that, or gassed it up and ran on the side of us. I don't really, expect him not to, do something about it, but it's we got into racing a little bit too hard there in the middle of the lap, and we ended up, spun out. Luckily, we still came around and got third. We actually probably could have gotten second, actually, if I wouldn't have gotten hit, as a couple people were going over the hill. And that's kind of my perspective is, we met there at the end, and, he wasn't going to lift, and he, didn't.
Yeah, as much as it may suck, that's unfortunately racing, and you got to think with 4 seasons and almost perfect streak here at the road courses, Nick was gonna fight for it, but he was very apologetic post race, and I'm sure you two will, I'd imagine, talk at some point before next week, and hopefully things get smoothed out. But yeah, Brad, I just want to say personally, like, as somebody who's again done these broadcasts for now 4 seasons, I've only once have I seen Nick ever sweat and ever be pushed that far at a road course. Ashley, obviously, it was due to circumstance, but for you, it was just he didn't make a mistake. You made the better call there, and to on the last lap come that close. And again, had it not been from that incident, I believe you absolutely could have held him off there in the last part of the track. No matter how difficult it may have been, because that 04 car is always capable of doing anything like that. So on behalf of myself and all of your fans were out in great support tonight. They were really heartbroken by that finish and the way it ended there for you. But I am proud, and I know they will be too, because you gave him everything. You gave him a fight, and I'll leave it to Chris here. That was such a perfectly well summarized interview there that I'll just leave it to Chris if you have any final questions.
Yeah, just as a former teammate, I know how fast you can be pretty much anywhere we go, and I'm just wondering, former champion 2 seasons ago, you were in the fight for the championship last season. How do we get this 04 car back to victory lane? You led the majority of the race last week. It didn't quite work out for you. Maybe a little bit of tussle there with Ashley Lyle, the ultimate race winner. And this week it just didn't quite work out. Even though it was really cool to watch, it just didn't quite work out. So how are we going to get the 04 car back to its normal form and get it back into victory lane?
Well, every race we've led the most laps in every race. In most of the races, we've gotten in things that we wish we didn't, and then realistically, we just got to have things go our way, and not get caught up in other people's mess. And it shouldn't be too hard to see us in victory lane. Realistically, every season that I've ever done, I do super poorly the first however many races, and then we get to the chase, and then we can be lights out if the race lets us.
Yeah, that 04 car is clutch when it needs to be. That's one thing we've learned over the last couple of years, and obviously it worked its way to a championship as well a couple of years back. So Brett, you know what you're doing. We have the utmost confidence here. We're sorry to see this turn out the way it did, but that 04 car is a fixture in this series for a reason. You got, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you got 9 more races here in the regular season to win, and you're in if you even need to. But we know you'll rack up those points, and you're going to make a good run at the title. I can't wait for it. So tonight's a building block. Tonight's a footstep, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So with that, we'll let you get your final. If you got any shout-outs, again, the 04 car, the Guzik Nation was here in great effect tonight. So if you got any shout-outs you want to give to them or anybody watching at home or your sponsors, now's your time.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody watching tonight, everybody on Bandit Racing, in the Bandit Racing League, everybody on Full Send Racing Network. You guys are killing it every week. I have to say it once again. I get to say it a lot, but just like to thank everybody watching. Like to thank everybody who supports me, everybody who supports the league, and also like to thank LAT Racing Oils as well. They've been slapped on my car for the last however many weeks, and we've been at least showing up and showing out. So thanks, guys.
Perfect. And you almost got the win for them tonight, so they cannot be in any way disappointed. You even got more screen time than Nick did overall, I'd say. So thanks for making it a fun battle tonight. You and Chris were also giving us some good content. So thank you so much, Brett, for everything you do. Can't wait to see what you put down next week at Kansas. And again, 9 more races in the regular season. Plenty of time for that win.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
See ya. There you go. That'll about wrap us up with your final interview of the night, Mr. Brett Guzik, your third place finisher here at Sonoma. So, well, what a race tonight, Chris. Again, it was a shorter, more bite-sized broadcast, and I think it was a bit of a different atmosphere. These road course races always are. It was fun last year when I made my 1-1 off there at Watkins Glen, but this year I just don't think we have the personnel to make it work, although I will try maybe for Robo. Robo might be the one that if I can make a solo effort there to hop in the race car at a track that I think may be my best on the entire server. I know I kind of let some people down there with what was only a top 5 there at Watkins Glen, but if I could get the practice time, may have a fun little event there at Roval if I can make it work. But no, it's always different here at the road courses. We hope you guys have enjoyed. We're going to be back to the traditional races next week at Kansas, and that'll be a race a lot more similar to Las Vegas. So don't expect the cautions next week. Don't expect all the chaos. But Chris, we'll give it to you. I got to do my usual sponsors and shout-outs here to wrap us up. But yeah, if you have any final thoughts on the broadcast or looking forward to next week at Kansas, whatever it may be, I know you always have some fun inferences. So there you go. I'll let you cap it off.
Yeah, I mean, what a complete opposite to the race we had last week. Really fast-paced night, lots of action going on the track throughout the entire pack. Really, you had drama here, there, and everywhere. So it was really exciting to see, even though it was a different kind of discipline of racing here that we got into tonight. I did not expect it to turn out that way. I didn't think that it was even possible for someone to even stretch the fuel that far. I think that you unloaded on pit road with 21 laps of fuel. So the fact that he was able to do that, if that is the correct number, is quite insane. So having that kind of finish, yeah, I think that was really, really cool. That was a treat for us here up in the booth. But yeah, nonetheless, 2-car gets back to victory lane. Really like to see that, especially after the kind of the way he vocalized how upset he was after last week. So, 2-car back to victory lane. I think some of these other guys will get back there soon too. 04 car. We're still waiting on that 85 car. So, so guys like that get back to victory lane here in due time, I believe, and getting ready for the playoffs because it is coming quick. But now we've now punched a ticket for another driver into the playoffs, and that is a scary driver to punch that ticket for. So, as we roll into next week, it's going to be another one like Vegas, and we saw how that could turn out. So get ready for that one. But as always, on my end, make sure you go check us out on social media, Bandit Racing League on Facebook, at Bandit Racing League on Instagram. Please check us out for any announcements. I know it's kind of a little slow on some of our announcements this week, but we'll get that fixed up for next week, and we'll keep on rolling forward. But yeah, please give us a shout out there, and thanks for everybody for watching, and thanks Marshall for having me back.
It is what I do. I'm always happy to be here. And yes, absolutely check out the Instagram. It was a busy week for everybody, but there will be more great content there. As always, I have no doubt. Here, just one more time, is your schedule for the Bandit Racing League in Season 11. So remember, next week we're going to Kansas, but then the week after, we do have our first break week of the season. So from the 15th to the 29th, you got some time off here on your Wednesday nights before you got to come back. Dover, one of the highlights of any season we run it in. Some guys like the Ricky Harts, the Benjamin Lacey's love that track, and the Monster Mile only makes for good racing. So Dover, Atlanta, Charlotte, Bristol, that's the dirt race. Don't miss that. And then Road America the next week. What a doubleheader that'll be. And to end off April, then it's New Hampshire after another break week. Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway, before Auto Club Speedway, the old, I guess now old version, because now they've torn down they're tearing down the larger layout that just ran its last race in NASCAR a week ago, and that'll be turned into a short track. But for the final time, as a larger entry, we will run it to cap off the regular season, then the playoffs, and of course our finale that is August the 9th, I believe, at Homestead, Miami. So that'll round off season number 11. But with that, we will first, before we get into your usual sponsors, we want to shout out two things. The first thing being the BanditRacingLeague.com website. Those of you that don't know what the BanditRacingLeague.com website entails or what it has involved, but if you've been with this series for a while, you're missing out because you can get everything. You can see every race winner, your final results, courtesy of Sim Racer Hub for each and every race of the season. You have a direct link to Geezer Authentics, which we'll show a more detailed video for in just a moment here. You have a full driver list of everybody in the series, and get a little bit of details, including where they're from, what their team is, but also how many years they've been running, and whether or not they're a former champion. Just fun little details like that. We have our Sim Racer Hub, the official stats page there you saw in the background, and Apex Sim Racing. Apex Sim Racing, as always, one of our main sponsors in this series. Use code BANDIT for 5% off an awesome steering wheel, button box, set of pedals, anything you want to get yourself started in sim racing and to potentially run in the Bandit Racing League one day. We will always recommend Apex Sim Racing as a great place to go for stuff like that, as well as Moza Racing, we'll talk about in just a moment. They are specifically great as far as things like wheels go. But there is our sponsorship for our website, or not really a sponsorship, but a great tool for all BanditRacingLeague.com fans. But here we go, the Geezer Authentics website. This is where you want to go for all things series merch. And remember, this is more than just a merch store, secondhand. You go to the NASCAR store, drivers don't see a ton of that money. Here in the Bandit Racing League, all purchases of a shirt, a great looking hat. Remember, using the new logo, that new BRL logo with the Bandit on the right side. I love that design. We have some slick looking hats here you'll see as we scroll through the website, but just such awesome products, and they go back into the league. They're a low cost, but they go towards the Drivers Points Fund, which awards drivers at the end of Bandit Racing League every season, and those who finish best in the series get repaid for their efforts, and there is a lot of effort that goes into being a top driver in the series, a lot of practice. So you're supporting the drivers, and you're supporting yourself by getting a slick piece of merch. Could be a water bottle, hoodie, t-shirt, anything you're looking for, especially for certain drivers like the GFR guys, like a Mark Allen Bivens, like an Eddie Hagee, all sorts of guys, including Mike Wright. I saw we have Mike Wright t-shirts as of this week, tonight's runner-up finisher. That's where you go check them out. You go to Bandit Racing League's GeezerAuthentics.com, linked as always in the description down below. With that, we now go into our final segment here, which is actually one of my favorites. I know for a lot of for a lot of broadcasts just in general, you go to a broadcast on Fox or whatever, or whoever broadcasts each and every NASCAR race of the week, they don't really care about their sponsors. And we care here on the Bandit Racing League because a lot of them we're personally connected with, and a lot of them are just the reason we're able to put these on at all. We love our sponsors here at the Bandit Racing League. And first of all, we got to start with iRacing, obviously the sim that allows us to put this all on here in the Bandit Racing League. It's it may have its issues. It may have some quirks at times with the whole restart zone debacles this year, but in my mind, it is still the definitive simulator. So thank you to iRacing for allowing us to run this series whatsoever. And again, Apex Sim Racing, I mentioned just a moment ago, sim racing accessories to get yourself started on iRacing, F1, Assetto Corsa, any sort of simulator, but particularly if you want to run in the Bandit Racing League and get started, and you're envious watching at home, man, I wish I was busier on Wednesday nights. That's the way to do it. Go check out Apex Sim Racing for some great products there. Perfect Shine Auto Spa after that. Again, one of our main sponsors of the series. Thank you to Kevin Foster and GFR Racing for sponsoring on behalf of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Track Cams are Gourmets there, you see, is our custom track camera provider each and every week. They're giving us some really awesome camera angles tonight here at Sonoma Raceway, and will continue to do so the rest of the season. Remember to go to trackcamsforgourmets.com for personal or broadcast use custom cameras here on iRacing. Just remember, you do need a license for online broadcasting using their content. EvanWallMedia.com is the official source for all of our graphics, and again, the former broadcaster of this very same league. Thank you to Evan for all he's done and will do for the series. And didn't have him tonight, but his cautions breed caution spamming in the chat last week was very well enjoyed, and we thank him for always being involved in the series, even with his very busy schedule. Butt Kicker on the left-hand side. We want to thank Butt Kicker for joining on the league this season. They are an awesome new sponsor with a really, really great product. They make base shakers essentially for either your seat, your pedals, any sort of product you're looking for to enhance your sim and make it even more interactive. You want to add the rumble of a real race car? That is how you do it. I think it's just a next level, addition to really, what's the best word to use it? What enhances your experience for sure, but it livens it up. It's such an engaging way to experience the world of racing and sims in general. So Butt Kicker, awesome new sponsor to the series, and Moza Racing, again, premium sim racing products. Their wheels, Bill Harkins has been using for a couple weeks now. He's given only glowing testimonies about that. So a great product if you're looking to get into sim racing, or you're an existing driver looking to upgrade your sim. That is where we want you to go. Link is, as always, the same way as it is for Apex and Butt Kicker down in the description for all their products, and you can save. Thanks for being a Bandit Racing League fan. With that, Geezer Authentics, we just mentioned a moment ago, and SimRacerHub.com, our official spot for all of our stats and our stat keeping and our race winning, and that's how we calculate our points. So thank you to SimRacer Hub for a great product and for allowing us to know at the end of each and every one of these weeks not only who is our race winners, but at the end of the season, who are our champions. With that, LAT Racing Oils, we got to get to them finally. They are your titular sponsor for tonight's race here at Sonoma. LAT Racing Oils, premier racing oils for a variety of different disciplines. Again, that includes such disciplines as ATF fluid, nitro oils, supercharger oils, and everything in between. So, Lubrication Advanced Technologies, aka LAT Racing Oils. Go to their website down below, or their variety of social medias. There are many of them, and go check them out and go give them a follow or a link on behalf of ourselves here at Bandit Racing League, because we are so thankful they've joined on to sponsor us tonight, and we hope we put on a pretty good show for them here on the Bandit Racing League. With that, I am Marshall Crocker Jr. one more time signing off for Christopher Ferreira, myself, and the entire Bandit Racing League. We want to say thank you for watching. Go check out our podcast, as always. New Bandit Racing League podcast. Again, episode 1 just dropped today. Link in the description down below. A lot of great work going on there, getting that off the ground. So we thank them for everything they're doing to put that on. Go check it out, and you'll be supporting the league by doing so. We'll be back next week at Kansas, folks. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the middle of your March here. And with that, we'll sign off here. For myself, Chris, the whole crew here at the Full Send Racing Network, this has been the Bandit Racing League's 4th round here at Sonoma. And have a great rest of your week. We'll see you in 7 days' time.